I'm not really sold on Minnesota and OKC yet, man. When I say sold, I mean like I'm talking about making a deep run in the playoffs. They're playoff teams for sure, but I still think they're either too young or they're missing something.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today on this Wind Up Wednesday episode, our cavalcade of stars, starting with our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, how are you, man?
As always, sir. Living the dream. It's playoff time out here in Texas. College, high school basketball playoffs. Let's roll.
And y'all start early. We got 2 weeks. And academic and athletic consultant for the CKA Save Project, George Ocker. George, what's going on, man?
Well, that title changes every week. How you doing? Glad to be here.
Trying to find a great flow for George because I do lean on you for a lot of stuff. And I'm trying to make sure it stays nice and tight, man. It stays nice and tight. And joining us today, my favorite player, and the fellas, they all know that, so even Jamal doesn't get mad anymore. Lauren Campbell, what's going on? Shackety Dack, welcome back. We won't talk about Sunday's results because this is coming out Wednesday, but hope your team did well. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here, man. This should be fun.
Okay. All right, so in segment one, we're going to talk all things NBA top 10. Segment two, we will talk about free agency, and we will grade them. And I'm curious to see how the crew's going to grade them. And in segment three, in terms of the WNBA, we're going to talk about Elena Delle Donne and her possible transition away from the Mystics. But first, OCP top 10, Boston's number 1, Cleveland's number 2 with a bullet. Man, Cleveland's on fire. 3, Minnesota. 4, Detroit. 5, OKC. 6, Clippers. 7, Milwaukee. How'd that dude get that job? 8, Knicks. They're deeper than you can imagine. 9, 76ers. Just saw them last night. And 10, the Suns. Hottest teams in the East, fellas. Cleveland, Boston, and the Knicks. Hottest teams in the West. Denver, Clippers, OKC, and the Suns. But they lost that buzzer beater. We're going to start with the East first, though. Top 6 right now in the East: Boston, Cleveland, Bucks, Knicks, 76ers, and Pacers. Play-in teams: Heat, Magic, Bulls, Hawks, Nets, and Raptors. And 2 ain't going to make it. And Bum City, Hornets, Wizards, they're really bad. And the Detroit Pistons. So following, going to jump you in early. What are your thoughts on the East right now? Anything catching your eye?
No, I mean the top 3. I'm interested to see if New York can move on up to like 2. I really like their team. I'm talking about healthy New York Knicks team. But I think Boston is the number 1 favorite team. New York is right there. I'm interested to see what happens in Philly. I just saw that they picked up Kyle Lowry, so I do think that'll help them. You know what I mean? So the East is after Boston. It's interesting.
Okay. Robert, what are you thinking about the East right now?
Well, I mean, if you talk about Cleveland being hot. So what did they used to put on those lists? Cleveland is with a bullet, meaning you're going up. I think the Bucks have an anchor next to their name because, man, since they hired Doc Rivers, it's just And we're all kind of panning that, we're all kind of panning that on our text messages because it's like, well, we tried to tell you, but nobody listens to a bunch of guys on a podcast.
Nobody listens. George, the East, what has caught your eyes, sir?
Notice Boston's still doing it. I said, how many shows ago did I say who can beat that team in a 7-game series? So and they proven. So that's it. But what I do see is, if you notice, hanging right around like they always do every year, the Miami Heat are still sitting there. That is that's a top flight organization right there. We'll wait and see what happens with Cleveland. They're hot now. They go in spurts. It cool off. And I'm gonna write 76ers off, and I'm gonna leave following alone about his New York Knicks. I'm gonna let that go right now. I'm gonna let that go.
Okay. So We are not doing no extended diatribe on the Knicks. Okay, that ain't gonna happen. In the West, top 6, Minnesota still number 1, but everybody's snipping at them. OKC, Clippers, Nuggets, Suns, and Kings. Those are the top 6. Play-in, New Orleans. Should have picked the Zion bet this year, Shaq. Dallas, the Lakers, Jazz, Golden State with the big win, and the Rockets, and Bum City, Memphis, Portland, and the Spurs. Same order following. What's going on in the West? What are you thinking?
Man, I still got to put Denver number 1. I think by the end of the season, they'll be up top. Clippers are right there. I'm not really sold on Minnesota and OKC yet, man. When I say sold, I mean, like, I'm talking about making a deep run in the playoffs. They're playoff teams for sure. But I still think they're either too young or they're missing something. And yeah, I mean, right now, it's just for me, it's Denver and the Clippers up top.
Okay. Robert, what are you thinking about the West?
I kind of agree with Follerin in the sense that, Minnesota and OKC kind of being unproven as we get closer to the playoffs and as we start to get into the playoffs. I mean, stuff it changes, the intensity changes, the grind is different, and the Nuggets are still around, just doing what they do. The Nuggets are around.
Hanging around like TD used to tell our hood teams. George, talk to me about the West.
Ant is doing his thing out there, so we're gonna wait and see. Playoffs are different monsters, so we're gonna wait and see what happens there. I am the Wall Street team that I'm waiting to see, and I'm gonna call them the Wall Street team because Phoenix. I think they're waiting to see if they it would not shock me when we hit the playoffs if they put it all together. All of a sudden, everybody's healthy and we come in. Now, I don't know about whether Bradley Beal's going to hold up or not. It's always some little injury always tacks on, but I'm waiting to see what they do in the playoffs. But I told you about them New Orleans them New Orleans Pelicans. I told you about them earlier. So if they can keep Zion, like I said, they can keep Zion off of out of the Hustler Club. Yep. They keep them off the Etouffee and out the Hustler Club. They're gonna be something to deal with. They're gonna be something to deal with.
All right, so fans, in segment 2, we're gonna take a deep dive as the NBA at the midseason. The panelists got all of the information in front of them. We're gonna see what direction they go. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast. I love between segments, Jeff. In segment 2, man, the NBA trade deadline has come and gone. The All-Star game is next week, so this is a good time to just pause and see who got better, who got worse, and who stayed the same. So let's just go ahead and get at it. Following, in your opinion, sir, who got better? Tell me who got better and why you're thinking that.
I got to go with the Knicks. I think the Knicks got better. They already been playing well with their core. Then you add OG Anunoby, you add Bojan, and then you add Alec. I like Alec as a great role player, man. So you got shooters around, Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, and you got a defender in OG. You know what I mean? And at this point, it's just about Thibodeau getting his guys in order, and they already defend as well as a team. So you add some scores and shooters around, Julius and Jalen Brunson, you got a better team, man. And I'm not. I still got Boston at number one, but if you talk about a team that got better, that's the New York Knicks.
Can't argue. They got better. They got better. Robert, in your opinion, who got better?
I agree with Fowler, and I think the Knicks definitely got better. Just talking about Julius Randle, he's been out, so Precious Achiuwa filling in for him. Okay,
that's why they're better.
That may be true. I don't know. I am not a Julius Randle fan either. I kind of share your sentiments.
Well documented, sir.
Okay. OKC getting Gordon Hayward. I mean, I think that's good for them because you need an old head around, and they don't have very many of those. And they can limit his minutes and keep him fresh. So, I mean, I think that one makes good sense for them. And this one isn't a trade deadline thing, but the Clippers getting James Harden, and we again on this show, we did not like that. And I am still not a James Harden fan. But that has worked out pretty well for them. Now, can you trust them? That's a different question. But
no, the question was who got better, and I'm gonna agree with you, sir. I'm agree with you.
Yep.
The question is who got better, and the Clippers are playing better. George, who got better?
OKC. I like that Gordon Hayward pickup, especially they're one of the young teams, and it's something I thought Minnesota should have done. They should have got a veteran that has been through it when they do get into the playoffs. So that's the one that I'd have to point to right there. I'm still waiting. That Siakam situation I thought was going to be a big pickup. I want to see how Indiana's still holding suit. I haven't seen them up or down definitively either way. But yeah, the big one to me was Gordon Hayward. I would have liked the 76ers pickup. But with Embiid out, I don't know. Maybe it has them holding on, and they're gonna try to bring them back by playoff time. I have no idea. We'll see if that does anything. But it might have been a story at that point in time. And and of course you can't go through trade deadline time and not mention the Lakers and they're gonna pull Dunwoody off the shelf once he's healthy. So. Yeah, who's playing? Who are the Lakers trading for this week? It's like the running gag for every 2 weeks before trade deadline. So,
All right. So following, we're going to switch paces, and who just stayed the same? Who made some moves? Didn't make some moves, but they're the same old team that they started with. In your opinion, who just stayed the course?
George just said it. Those LA Lakers. I mean, I really thought they were going to make a move to pick somebody up. And with this team, man, I don't see them finishing top 4 or 5. They might be in the play-in, and it's just, again, you're going to expect a lot out of LeBron in the playoffs. It's just too much pressure on a guy that's what is he? Is he 40 yet? Or is he 39? Like
39, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they needed to make a push at that deadline, and they didn't, and they just stayed the same.
Okay.
There's a lot of miles on those tires, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, we're going to get greatness out of him, but I mean, to win a championship, man, with that roster, look, man, he's the GOAT. If he does that with that roster at this point in time, I mean, yeah.
Okay, Robert, who just stayed the same, man?
The Nuggets. Well, they didn't need to do anything. I mean, so I mean, the Nuggets basically stayed the same. I would argue, the Lakers basically stayed the same. I don't think Spencer Dinwiddie in the long run is going to do a whole lot for them. I mean, the 76ers getting Buddy Hield. I mean, they'll score some more threes. I don't know if that did anything.
I watched them last night. I was underwhelmed.
Okay.
I watched them last night. I was underwhelmed. saw him in person. And why is it $50 for two people to eat at the Capital One Arena? I'm going to Virginia too, but that's an editorial comment.
Yep.
All right, George, who stayed the same in your opinion?
Celtics in Denver, but they didn't need to do anything. And we're back to the Lakers again. I mean, we spent the last month, it was from right before Christmas until now talking about, the Lakers going to do this and they're trying to get this, but then they pick up nobody. And then now the question is, we're going in, we're talking about how is a 50-year-old man, I'm going to call LeBron 50, how is a 50-year-old man going to keep that team, and is he going to be able to pull something out of his hat, and is Davis going to fall apart? Those are the two things that always happen at the end of the year. LeBron can give you about one series, and then Anthony Davis is going to wind up, hurting an ankle or something like that. And we'll see what happens. But it'll be entertainment. That's one thing I can say. LA's always good for some entertainment, one way or the other.
All right. And finally, following, who got worse? Who got worse?
I mean, Detroit. I mean, these teams, Wizards. I mean, they didn't even have to do anything to get worse, but they're just getting worse as the season goes on. These teams are obviously in rebuild, so they're trying to get some money off the books and trying to free up space. I don't know what they're trying to do actually. I mean, it's just those.
You tried. I'll give you credit. You tried.
I just don't know what's going on with these organizations. I mean, Detroit, you got the highest paid coach. Is he the highest paid coach?
I believe so.
And we got nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? So those two teams are just awful, man. Just they stink.
Robert, who got worse?
I think you can argue that. Let me see. Who got worse? I mean, Dallas not doing anything makes them worse.
Who? Dallas who?
The Mavericks.
Dallas not doing anything.
Not doing anything. That makes them worse.
They Washington.
Well,
and
he said that's not a needle mover.
Yeah.
I think they got better.
But the problem with the Mavericks is I mean, how are they going to get better? Because they have no picks, right? How are they?
Okay, yeah.
What could they do to get better?
And Dallas is in the play-in hunt, and I don't think they're going to be top 6. I don't.
No.
So, okay.
Hey, look, the way they looked last night against the other night against OKC. I mean, I think they're going to be good.
You have Luka and Kyrie. You have two transcendently talented players on your team.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, in a 7-game series where they get beat up, I don't know, man.
But Robbie, you talking about a team? Would they make the finals last? They get to the finals did they get the finals or semifinals last year? Conference, Mavericks? Then they either got to the conference finals or semifinals last year because they were like knocking at the door because Luka put on some magic and did some things. And I think when you got a young star like that, you can get away with doing very little at that point in time. So that's probably, I think that's what they're thinking, that they were right there anyway, so they could just they can go with what they got. And it shocked me that that's one thing about this trade deadline. There were no blockbuster deals, no huge pieces moved anywhere.
No.
So and you want to talk about who got worse? I mean, I hate to say this, but I got to throw with Detroit. All right. At least this looked like there might be a plan. We've been asking for the last 15 years, what in the F is going on with the Wizards and why they do what they do. So I'm just going to leave it there because right now I would take a fully healthy University of Kentucky team versus that Wizards team because, God, I'm going to stop right there. You go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
So with the Mavericks, They are one game out of fifth place, and they're 2.5 games out of being out of the play-in this situation. So, yeah, I can't I can't go into the Mavericks pool with that. So, with that, in segment 3, we're going to talk about the WNBA and Elena Delle Donne's crossroads. Be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 3, WNBA news and notes. And this segment's kind of about Alella Delle Donne. Real life is real. She's a 2-time MVP. The Washington Mystics offered her a supermax contract. Of course, in the WNBA, that's not that much. She received her core designation from the Mystics last month. That core contract, that supermax deal, is for $241,000, almost $242,000. But she also said that she's just not playing. She's got 3 herniated discs in her back. She's had some trouble with rehab. She didn't play a lot last year. And the question is this the right move? Well, the Mystics got to take care of the Mystics. And that's real. And Elena Delle Donne has to take care of her, and she is a Hall of Fame worthy player. At her best, she was unguardable. She's achieved every major hoops accolade, multiple MVPs, a WNBA championship, an Olympian, and the only player ever to achieve a 50, 40, 90 season. But you want value. You got to get value. And if she doesn't play this year for the Mystics, then maybe she can play next year for the Mystics if that's how the Mystics want to roll. So, Robert, I'm going to start with you because you're our administrator. You're the person who has had to make these tough decisions. If you're Delle Donne, what are you doing? And if you're the Mystics, how are you handling this? Floor is yours, sir.
Well, there have to have been some conversations that we're not privy to between the two of them, asking Elena Delle Donne, what are you doing? What do you want to do? Right. And the Mystics have to take care of the Mystics. They have to, if they could not sign her last year, which they didn't for whatever reason, they had to offer the core designation. They had to, because that's the best move for them. She's the best player in franchise history. She won a title for them, all of that stuff. It sounds to me like she wants to hang out for a year, and she may decide after this she's done. She may say, oh, my body feels good again, and come back somewhere else. And the Mystics get nothing for her. I think that's a chance. The Mystics are taking there. Maybe the Mystics do some things prior to this season and prior to next season where Delle Donne decides, you know what, I'll come back and finish. I don't want to go out just walking away like that. There's no way to really know, but given how the WNBA has progressed over the past few years and what we've seen with the advent of some of these super teams, it would not shock me at all if at some point, maybe halfway through the season, right before the WNBA trade deadline, the Mystics maybe trade her rights, and she winds up in Vegas, winds up in Seattle. I don't know. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think the other question is what are the Mystics doing? What is the plan? How are you going to transition away from that? And I don't follow the Mystics closely enough to know what that plan might be, but I think that's a fair question. What's your plan? What are you guys doing?
All right. Now, I want to go to following because last couple of years, you transition from being a player to behind the scenes type things. You have a unique insight to this. Didn't go through the injury issues that Delle Donne did, but how are you seeing this, Fowler?
I really think we saw the writing on the wall. I mean, she's been dealing with injuries. And the back injury is major. Again, I think she wanted to play out her contractual agreement. And I think she's at ease. I mean, I think she's had a great career. She actually just had a great season, actually, for her individual stats. So at the end of the day, it's like, all right, look, do I still want to go through this? Still dealing with injuries, probably still dealing with pain. And she's fine financially. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's more so of her, playing out her contract, and being at ease, mentally and physically. You know what I mean? Saying, okay, you know what, this is it. And who knows? And Rob said it, she might want to come back later. You know what I mean? But right now, it's like, look, let me take time for myself and my family to think about things, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. Now, George, I'm going to give you the spin because you can handle this piece. You're the Mystics. I just want you to be the Mystics. How are you handling this right now? If I gave you the magic wand and said, all right, you're running the Mystics, how are you dealing with this? Your best player, probably the greatest player in your franchise, said, I ain't playing right now. And you just traded away Natasha Cloud. What are you doing, George?
Well, first and foremost, I'm not surprised because she did this in college also. She was coming out, she was the number one recruit. She was supposed to go to UConn, and then she kind of fell out of love with it, and that's how she ended up at Delaware. And now you got some other things going on. I would as the Mystics, you hold on to her rights until you get the right deal for you. Whether you hit the All-Star break or whatever, and it's like, and she still isn't back, and then you go ahead and get as much as you can for at that point in time. And if so be it, if she shows up in Las Vegas with the Aces or something like that, more power to her. I mean, if she gonna go and pull a Bill Walton from back in the day, and they pull her off the shelf, and she comes in and gives decent minutes, that's good because I don't see her knowing about her like I do because I used to work with one of her coaches. She's going to go and going to do what's best for herself, and that's a good thing. Not every athlete is afforded that kind of situation. Some of them it's taken from them, and they're not able to, and they're not in a place that they want to be. But she seems like she is. I think the big thing is that as long as she is mentally sound and or mentally at peace and at peace with what the situation is, it's fine with her. You got to go with what she has. But as the team, you hold on to her rights until you can get something decent for it. So, but I definitely will make some kind of deal before the year's out because I'm not going to let that go and not get nothing for her. That's what I'm gonna try not to.
All right. So to close this week, fans, this entire year, CKA Save Project celebrating their 15th anniversary. I can't believe we've been doing this for 15 years, and we're reaching out to over 30 years of academic and athletic contacts. And one of the people I reconnected with this past week was one of my former players, Rod Berry, who gave us a very generous donation. Rod played for me in the mid-90s. George, I'm old, man. He's a great player, husband, father, became an annual donor. And if you would like to continue to support us, please go to our website, www.cksaveproject.org, or you can Venmo or Cash App a tax-deductible contribution at CKA Save Project. So again, on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, great show today. I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the iCoaches podcast, and we'll see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.cksaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@cksaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the iCoaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at iCoaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.cksaveproject.org. See you next time on the iCoaches podcast.